Big ideas, real talk. I'm Sara Press, and this is Nothing Small About Business. Welcome back to another week of Nothing Small About Business, or if this is your first time joining us, welcome. I hope you enjoy it here. Today, we've got a great episode with Nick Avaria. He has bought and sold 7 different agencies, and he's also helped numerous agencies go build scalable businesses. And what I love about this interview is that he talks about a couple things that were really good takeaways for me and some things that I never really thought of. He talks about how he's really good at taking a company that starts at $1 million and scaling it from there, that he is not that great at starting from scratch and building to $1 million. And it made me think of like what different skill sets those take. And maybe for some people, the right move is buying into a business that is already existing because your skill sets are from taking an existing product and making it better. So that was interesting. And then the other big takeaway that he talks about, and he'll dive a lot deeper into, is that it's important once you get to a certain place in your career or your business to start outsourcing the things that don't need your time and attention anymore, especially those items at home that don't bring you joy, that you can hire out for a much cheaper amount that will save you on like your mental space and allow you to like enjoy your time with your family when you're not working. So all things to consider. I think you guys are going to love this episode. Please subscribe so you get all future episodes. And without further ado, here is Nick. All right, Nick, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me, Sarah. Happy to be here.
Yeah, so I just kind of want to jump right into it. I learned a lot about you, and I read that you have bought and sold 7 agencies, and you've consult for other agencies and you help them grow. Yeah. So before we jump into the meat of all of that, what I found really interesting is something that I heard you say before, and it was that your specialty is not in the like necessarily the founder to the 1 million, that your specialty is really 1 million to 10 million.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear more about that.
Yeah, look, I can survive because I mean, beyond owning agencies, I've owned other business types before. And the 0 to 1 million mark is really like, can you figure out how to generate sales? Is your product good enough? And can you generate attention for that product? Like to oversimplify it, right? And as long as you make the product good, getting attention to it is generally a lot easier, right? Yeah. So the better you can kind of focus on product 90% and then how to spin it and get attention to it 10%, you're good, right? But once I guess my stance on all of this is that when you solve a problem really well in business, you are rewarded with more problems. And if you didn't get rewarded with more problems by solving a problem, there's one of 2 problems. Either one, you're not seeing the problems that you've been rewarded with, which is a little bit scarier. Or number 2, like they're being delayed in some way, shape, or form that you're quite maybe not aware of right now, but they will land on your doorstep at some point.
They're always there, right?
Yeah, totally. And so at $1 million, the problem that happens is that between 0 and 1, you as the founder, like you can wear the cape, you can be the superhero, right? But it's not going to take you much longer than that, right? Like, can you maybe get to 1.5? Maybe. Could you even stretch, like if you're like an absolute machine at what you do, can you maybe even go to 2? Maybe. But at some point, as you, the founder, being the central hero of the story, that comes to an end. And it's really now about the people that you have in your business that's going to carry you to like that 10 million or, like 8-figure place. And the skill set changes from how to be the hero and save everything to how do I create other heroes in my business and how do I recruit other heroes for my business so that I don't have to wear the cape and like run from thing to thing. I'm now more so like a strategist and an organizer of all these other people that can like save the day all day, every day.
Okay, because that's what I was curious about. Like, what are those skill sets that you see that make that big difference between that leap in the 2 of those? Is it like the leadership skills, being able to delegate? Like, what are some of those things that you most often see is like the gap area there?
So, like, look, if you had asked me this question like 20 years ago, and to date myself, like I was in my early 20s back then, if you had asked me what the gap was back then, it's like we needed more leadership and we needed like more, you know, excitement and more energy injected into organizations back then, I actually think that the leadership industry has done quite a good job of making itself important. Maybe they've done too good of a job. And so these days, leadership is quite plentiful from what I've seen overall. Again, I'm making generalizations
Right.
here.
Very general. Right.
Yeah, but what's actually missing now versus 20 years ago is that like management is actually in pretty short supply these days. And how I delineate the difference between management and leadership is like leadership gets people excited, it gets people inspired, it gets people it gets them moving, right? But management is about putting people in formation and pointing them in the right direction. So if you think about this from like the metaphor of like a bunch of people standing around in a field, they're pointing in all directions. Some people are pointing north, south, east, west, whatever else it is. And a leader comes in and they like energize the people and they're like, yeah, go. And like all of a sudden people just walk straight
They're like,
in
oh my
whatever direction they're
God.
pointing at. They're crashing into each other. There's people going in all different directions and it's like pure chaos, right? And by the way, we made a lot of movement, but we actually didn't actually like move the
We didn't
organization
actually move
forward.
forward. Right.
Exactly.
You're
And by
just,
the way, like, and I do think that this is actually like highly correlated with burnout. Okay.
mm,
Because to me, and there's like a small tangent, like to me, burnout is you tried really hard and got nothing. Like you're on the hamster wheel, right?
yes. Oh my gosh. Yes.
And so this is why I think we're experiencing like record levels of burnout and people are like, oh, it's this and that and whatever. And I'm like, no. It's because we are trying harder than ever before. We are leading people like never before. Like, look, like most of the entrepreneurs that I meet with today, they're so passionate about their service, their customer, their staff, more than ever before. Like if you go back 20 years, people were like, we're here to make money, which is like
Yeah.
not that motivating, to be honest, but they were better at it. And that's the crazy part. So like 20 years ago, I would have been like, we need more leadership. Today, I'm like, we need more management. This is why we're burnt out, because we're
Interesting.
trying so
Okay.
hard and charging people up and motivating them so hard. And then it's like, people are like looking around and like, so we worked our butts off. What did I gain? Like, how did the company actually get better? Did we move forward? Does this mean that I'm going to get a promotion? Does this mean that I'm going to get a raise? And then we get to the end of the year only to find that we didn't really move the needle on profit. We didn't really move the needle on revenue. Or if we did move the needle on revenue, we didn't move it on profit. We actually, like, our profit might have even gone down. And all of a sudden we can't reward people for this hard effort because all we've done is done a bunch of movement with no
You're like
real
running into
end in
brick
mind.
walls over and over again.
And this is the burnout cycle, right? It's like, and then we're like, okay, so we didn't do it right last time. Let's get people, pumped up and motivated and pointing this like, and all over again. And the same thing happens. And it's because we're missing management. And the reason is that, look, I'm not going to mince my words here. Like leadership is really exciting and it's really motivating. It makes us feel good after we do
Mm-hmm.
it. Like we stand up, we give the speech, we get people psyched up and
They're the
aligned.
cheerleaders. They're the,
Exactly. Like it's
yeah.
super. It's the feel good vibes, the feel good moments. Management is boring, and like, and the thing is like, if I look at somebody and and you ask me like, is this person going to be successful? The only thing that I'm going to try to figure out about that person is not can they endure motivation. The only question that I have is can they endure boredom?
Interesting. Okay. Because a lot of it is just going to be the mundane strategy,
As
implementation,
more
right?
basic, like as standard operating, like it's like, can you sit down and write standard operating procedures? Like boring.
Boring.
Can you train somebody 4 times on the same process so that they can get it right? Not just so that they can get it right, but they understand the thinking behind it. So they
Got
can do it
it.
on their own without you being in the room. Like high levels of repetition, high levels of standardization, which by the way, like sound like bureaucracy, but they're better than the alternative of burnout.
Right.
Because
And then if you have turnover happening with the employees too, you're starting over,
and
starting
this
over.
and by the way, like this is why we're seeing like, if you look at some statistics, like you're gonna see that there's more businesses being open than ever before. The math shows that it's easier because we have information accessible and all these other things. But nobody's really like, and people are super focused on sales and marketing and product, but nobody's talking about like, okay, well now once you break through to $1 million, the only lessons that the internet has to give you is like, oh yeah, now hire good people and get out of their way. And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't work at this stage. And like, and here's like my beef with this. The problem is that when you talk to an entrepreneur that's doing like, say like 30 million, 50 million a year, their advice of hire smart people and get out of their way is not applicable to you as a 1 million or $2 million business. And here's why. Because if imagine I'm running $100 million business, my version of hiring a good person and getting out of their way is finding somebody who in today's market, because they're already getting paid this, is getting paid 400 grand a year plus a bonus that doubles their base minimum. They're like a 7-figure employee.
Mm. Yeah, which
I
is not
hire
happening
that
in somebody at
person.
a million.
Yeah, I hire that person. I get out of their way. Everything's going to be just fine. But you can't hire an 80K person, or frankly, I'm sorry to say this, 100K person per year and get out of their way and expect success. You might be able to roll the dice. And if you do that 5 times, you might hit one. If you're like amazing and you have an amazing culture and an amazing personal brand to attract these people, you might get lucky, but you're going to go through a lot of people. Whereas
So
when
what?
you're dealing with this
Yeah.
400K base person, like they're every single time you roll the dice on these people, it's like 9 times out of 10, you're going to hit and it's going to be just fine.
Gosh, that is so true. And so what would you recommend? So people that are at that million mark. So when you go to buy these agencies, is that like your sweet spot? So I'm curious, like, what would you recommend? Or like, what do you see that then you can go in and help fix and train and implement when they don't have a budget of a 700,
No,
800,000 to
nobody
pay
does at
someone?
that level, right? Like even
Right.
like look, even if you're making 4 or 5 million a year, you can't go out and hire somebody that makes like 500,000 base plus bonus. Like it's not in the math of the business. It doesn't work, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so there's this unfortunate reality, and I say unfortunate because for the typical owner entrepreneur, this stuff is boring. Okay.
And
And I'm
it's the
not
stuff you
telling you
don't
that
want
it's
to do.
you don't want to do it, right? And so like the thing is that there is a group of people for which this work is actually they love it, and they get out of bed in the morning and they're like, I can't wait to do this work that you hate doing.
Yeah.
The thing with the entrepreneur is though is that you can't just leave it all in somebody else's hands, right? You need to at bare minimum understand what it is that they are doing and why, and then you can delegate it, right? But there's a big difference between delegating something and abdicating something. Delegating means like, I give you this thing to do, you own it, but I understand fundamentally what's going on. I can judge whether it's good, medium, or bad. I understand it. Like, it's not like abdication looks like, here you go do this thing. Don't report back. I'm not going to check in on like how we're doing. I'm not going to give you any metrics or numbers or OKRs to hit. Go figure out, bye.
Just go.
Like, just
Yeah.
go. Like, that's abdication. And if you
Mm-hmm.
abdicate, bad things happen. Right. And so
Is that when you
the
start, when the business owner at that point doesn't fully understand what's happening within their own business anymore?
correct. And if you don't understand that aspect of the business, the problem is how do you then lead it? And the answer is you don't.
Interesting. Okay. Tell me
So
more
you
about
have
that.
to delegate, not abdicate. And so you need to understand how middle management works, because here's the thing, when you're kind of at that like getting close to that million mark, definitely into two, you might have like a manager or two. Maybe at the two, you might have, 2 to 3, maybe even 4, depending on how your structure works. And the problem is that the majority of people hire people in these positions of management. And like, what is the first manager they ever get? It's like, oh, actually, like this person has been my right hand person for years. And I'm just going to make them a manager. It's like, okay, great. So like, do they have any management capabilities? It's like, well, I don't know. They just do really good work.
They know what they're doing, right?
Yeah, they know what they're doing. It's like, well, it's a different skill set, right? Like management is its own skill set, such like similar to leadership. Like leadership is its own skill set too. There's different skills. And the skills of management are things like, okay, like, do I know actually how to make somebody perform? Like, meaning like, can I teach that person about setting, like, how do I set proper expectations for myself and others around me,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like what actually drives results for the department or company? Like how to manage time effectively, how to work well with others, how to hit objectives, how to prioritize, how to align to culture. Like these are management skill sets, like all of this teaching. And some people know how to do all these things. They know how to manage their time. They know how to prioritize. They know how to hit goals, but they cannot teach other people how to do it.
Right.
And that is the primary difference. And a lot of people look at a manager like, oh no, like this person can technically do this work, meaning what I call it like the technical work. And I don't care if the technical work is writing an email or running a campaign or whatever else it is, that's the technical work. And that is only 30% of performance. The other 70% of performance is all of these other soft skills around time management, how to interact with people, how to actually hit your metrics, how to set the right metrics. All of this stuff that like we as entrepreneurs generally consider kind of boring.
Right. That's so true. Because I feel like the personalities of entrepreneurs are a lot more of like shiny object. This is so exciting. I want to dive right into this. And so what I'm wondering is like, as you were saying all this, what it got me thinking, something I haven't really thought about before is that somebody that wants to own a business, for some people, it might make more sense to go buy an existing business that already has some of these systems in place as opposed to starting from zero, starting from complete scratch.
And the thing is that at those sizes, when you're buying businesses, what happens is that generally those businesses come with a second in command who's actually like done all these things. So like, look, back to the delegation abdication thing, right? Once you delegate, but you understand all of these things because you've done them at least once or twice yourself, so like you know it, then you can hire like a director of operations or like a head of whatever, which is basically going to be your right hand, like your second in command, and they can do all the stuff that you find mind-numbingly boring, and you delegate that to them. Again, you're not abdicating because you already know how it works, you know how to judge it, you've done it before. Yes, you didn't like it, but this person loves it. They then do it. And when you buy a business, the number one thing you should do if you're looking for a business is there a strong second in command that I can actually run this thing? And if it doesn't, guess what? The owner has to come with it, meaning like they have to switch from owner to
They
employee
have to
because
become
they
that
are then
second.
the second in command.
Ah, that's interesting. Okay. And one thing you touched on, I want to dive deeper on is this whole idea of burnout. And it, it seems to me that it's happening more at a more rapid pace.
It is.
And so I'm curious to hear your thoughts on burnout in general and then like how we can best avoid burnout, what we should be looking for, what
Yeah.
are the early signs of it maybe?
I mean, like, look, to me, burnout is basically like unfulfilled work, meaning you worked on the thing, you worked hard, you did the right things, and you didn't get the outcome that you expected out of it. Right. So it's almost like unfulfilled expectations through work. So I think the problem at the crux of this is that there's a lot of entrepreneurs and leaders out there. I mean, like quotation mark, I guess, leaders that are like, yeah, everything's good. Like everything's amazing. Like it's going to be great. Like we just need to like push this a little bit harder and everything will be awesome. And then people don't get rewarded for that hard work where they dug
Mhm.
deep. And I'm here to kind of tell the front line, like if you're like a non-entrepreneur, and if you are an entrepreneur, I'm here to kind of tell you, like, it's not the front line's problem, meaning like the non-managers in the room, like it's not their fault that we didn't hit the target. It's because we either didn't educate them, we hired them for the wrong role, and or like we allowed them in our organization when we shouldn't have. It's our jobs as managers and leaders to have the right people in the right places. And we're burning our staff out by basically like, look, I hate the word toxic, but like there is such a thing as
Sometimes it's a
toxic.
perfect time to use it though.
Yeah, there is such a thing as toxic positivity, which is like positivity at all costs, even when things are going poorly. Like, I think that's not authentic as a leader. Like, if you're telling people everything will be great when everything is clearly not great right now, it's like,
Hmm.
I don't know if you're truly being authentic with your people, which is like anti-leadership to begin with.
Which
And
is
I
like,
think this
how
is why we're seeing
delusional
the
are
burn.
you that you think this is a good thing? It's not a good thing. We see where this is heading. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it's the missing piece of like this proper management skills, which I actually call like the missing middle, because it's like you have the strategy, you have the vision, you have the product that goes really well, but like this middle piece that connects everything is missing. And it's like, how do you manage people? How do you generate behavior change? How do you do all these things? This is what's leading to burnout, is that like we charge people up and we're like, yeah, we can do this. This is awesome. Awesome cheerleader work.
Yeah.
And then like, oh, like I worked really hard and I got nothing for it. And like, we're still in the same place we are. It's like, why did I do all of this? Like, that is the moment of burnout. And I think that it's extra bad today because A, management is, by my account, probably like the worst that it's been in the last 2 decades because everybody's like leadership, leadership, rah, rah.
Hmm.
And it's like it's the balance of leadership and management. It's not one is better than the other. It's like you need both. Okay.
Yeah,
And
and I do feel like there's like those lines get blurred a lot between those two.
100%. And the burnout happens because we're not leading and managing people properly. And on top of that, there's like environmental issues like around like, well, like raises don't come as fast as the cost of like food going up and like all these other
Hmm.
things. So it's not just bad because we're kind of telling people like everything's awesome all the time internally in the business, yet we give them a raise that is not commensurate to the cost of living
Right.
increase.
They're like,
And then they go
that's very
home.
nice, but it's not
Yeah, and
going
they
very
work their
far.
faces off and then they go home and they're like, it's like groceries are more expensive today than they were a month ago. Like, I
Right.
think
It's hard
all
to
of these
then be
factors.
still stay motivated when you're not even really feeling the results on the other end. And something that for people that are, at the top, the founders and the CEOs with burnout, there's something that you talked about that I really want to dive deeper on because I find it to be such an interesting thing that seems so easy to do or easy to get, but we don't implement it like we should. And that is delegating the tasks that are not worth what your time value is. So things that are say under $100. I know in the past you've talked about like getting a food service and things like that that can help alleviate like the mental load. So can you talk to me a little bit more about your thoughts around
Yeah, I mean, like
delegating those?
real life example, right? So like when my first daughter was born, um like I was getting off of work after working, like 10, 12 hours. I would start the day early and I had to like get off work and I had to like cook because like obviously my wife was like tending to her daughter.
She's
She
like,
was
I'm
like
done.
brand new. Like I wasn't gonna make her do it, right? Like that's crazy. So I'd have to like get off work, cook immediately, then clean, then blah 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 blah. And I'm like, this is crazy. Like this makes no sense. And so we like found a food service because I was just like, look, like I think we pay this guy like maybe like 130, 150 per time he visits. And every time he cooks like 2 days worth of food. It's like, well,
And it's
if
probably
I'm
healthier.
yeah, it's like it's healthier. Like our DoorDash bill went from like, thousands to like basically like $100 a week. Like from like basically like I would say $500 to $600 a week because we were doing like lunches and dinners
Yeah.
and it's way healthier, like um he cleans after he cooks and like now we just have to like either heat or reheat or throw it in the oven and it's done. Cleaning service, same thing, right? It's like would I rather clean myself or would I rather spend quality time with my family? And so to me, like buying back all these items that, frankly, like they don't make my life any better. Like, and this is what I tell people. It's like, should I get a landscaper? I'm like, do you like cutting your lawn?
Do you enjoy mowing your
Yeah, it's like if
grass?
you enjoy like, mowing your lawn because like you get to zone out and it's like you're outside and whatever, like I'm not going to tell you to like outsource something that you enjoy doing, but if you don't enjoy doing it, maybe you shouldn't, right?
It's almost like buying your time back. And like I do that that's how I justify Instacart. I do not grocery shop anymore. And I
Yeah.
honestly think I spend less because I'm a little bit more organized with what I'm purchasing and I'm not making like impulse purchases
Yeah.
there. But I'm like, by the time you drive to the grocery store, buy everything, put it in your cart, take it out of your cart, put it in your car, drive it home. I'm
And the
like, the
impulse
amount of
buys.
all the impulse buys. I'm like, taking that whole thing off the mental load and the plate and just going on the app and making it so easy and the time saved. There's some things that I'm like, this is such a no brainer. My husband and I run a business. And so there's so many times where like, you don't want to be doing these other menial tasks around the house to keep the household going if you
Yeah.
can outsource it for a cheaper amount than what your hourly rate is. So I
I mean,
really think there's something to that.
we've definitely outsourced everything by now. Like, I mean, it's like, we don't even plan like vacations. We have like, a concierge service through like, I mean, we have like private banking and things like that. And like, it's part of the bank's like package of like services is like, we'll organize your vacations for you. It's like, great. It's like, here's a credit
Perfect.
card, book it. Like, thanks. This is what we like doing. They send us an itinerary, we stamp it or we cross things out, we send it back. It's all good. Right. We've basically outsourced like almost everything at this point in terms of like decisions that need to be made because like look, like I'm not like a travel agent. My wife's not a travel agent. Like how good are we at like making a good itinerary? All we know is
Hmm.
what we like. We just got to tell somebody that's the expert in order to figure it out. But
And we only
ultimately, I
have
think
so much like mental capacity too, of like your brain, you're tired by the end of the day. You've made a million decisions. You're like, I don't really want to think anymore.
you don't like, and that's the thing. I think that, we've all heard, the conversation about, well, the more decisions you make, the worse they get progressively. It's absolutely true. And
Mm-hmm.
you need to safeguard, by the way, and this is, I guess, just like a business tip, like I write all the decisions even in the back half of my day. Like after 12, if I need to make a decision, like sign a contract or an agreement of some kind, or I'm hiring somebody, I quite literally write it all down and I make the decision first thing in the morning. Like after
Oh,
midday,
that's
I
interesting.
basically make no business decisions unless they're like mundane.
That's really interesting because so you're like you're working with how the human brain works and understanding that you're going to be your sharpest in the morning. Don't
Yeah.
make big business decisions like right after a meal when you're tired in the afternoon,
Yeah, in
after a bad
fact, I
night's
actually
sleep.
like segregate all the biggest decisions to Friday, and I basically book no meetings Friday.
Oh,
So
interesting.
internal, external, I don't care. Like Friday is my day for like innovation, making decisions, doing deep work. Like it's uninterrupted time the whole day.
Okay, so one thing I find fascinating for high achievers, business owners, is setting up your day and what kind of things you include for like your mental health, for your physical health, for your family's wellness. And so I'm curious, are there other things that you do on a regular basis, little tricks and tips like that
Yeah.
that help make your weeks run smoothly?
Um, the stats show that the highest rate of heart attacks happen on Monday morning. So,
Wow.
so Mondays, the first half of my day, Mondays is actually blocked off. Like meaning like no meetings the first half of Monday. It's not that I'm not working. It's that ease into my week. So like this is where, I might start a little later on Monday. Like maybe I start at 9:30 ish, right? Instead of like 8:30. And I'm gonna take my first half hour to look at my schedule and like look at my week and what do I need to accomplish during my week. I'm gonna review my dashboards and reports and like my numbers and like understand, like get a good lay of the land. And then my meetings start at around midday, where like it's like, okay, based off of like what I've seen in the dashboards and my numbers, I know what needs to get accomplished this week. I know what behaviors we need to pivot in order to make the numbers good. Then it's like, okay, now I'm engaging in internal meetings to pivot everybody, get them working on the right things. Like that's how I start my week. And Friday, I work like Friday is not like, just because it's blocked off, it's not an easy day. Like I'm at work on time, at my regular time. I'm working hard, and I'm working hard on like A, the decisions, B, like key items that I need to get done and like cleaned up before the weekend, because I'm not going to push them into the weekend. And then basically the last half of Friday is for me to work on marketing and content, like things that like kind of inspire me. So
Mm-hmm.
it's almost kind of like you're easing into the
Like
weekend and
he's in
out of the
it.
weekend, right? So
That's a
like,
great way to set that up.
yeah,
So speaking of content, that's another area I want to jump into with you is it's so easy to throw like any sort of content together without any sort of plan and go in a million directions. You could waste a lot of time doing content.
yeah,
And so I'm curious what your take is on what type of content you like to do, how targeted you get with yours, and kind of like what your overall strategy is around that.
yeah. The thing that I've found is that weirdly, my home has often been on LinkedIn and not so much like Instagram. Um, Instagram, I find that the more general content works a little bit better by comparison to LinkedIn, because LinkedIn, it has, I mean, frankly, it has perfect targeting. Not perfect in the sense of
Mm-hmm.
like marketing, like it's like, oh, well, like if you pick an audience, is every single person inside of that audience like the exact target audience? No, but it's targeting by comparison to Meta on like specific job titles and things like that. Like it's so good by comparison that it's just like a different platform, and like you don't really get non-professionals on LinkedIn commenting on
Right.
things. So
And I
you
do
can
feel like they're in a different mindset when you're on LinkedIn than when you're on, you want to be entertained on Instagram. You're like
exactly.
in a different game when you're on LinkedIn. Your
Yeah.
mindset is a totally different place.
Yeah. And how I am, it's just like my content is naturally just better on LinkedIn, uh by a mile. Like it's just, I'm very informative. Like I'm here to like show you how to actually do something. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
here to be like rah rah, like
Look at this
I
cool
like
dance move.
yeah, like I ain't dancing on a video, and I've been my social person has tried to convince me multiple times I ain't going
Right?
for it.
So,
So
yeah, what's funny is I like to hang out more. I personally like to hang out more on Instagram. However, for my podcast does so much better when I post on LinkedIn. And so they say they're like, do the platform that's best for your business, not the one that you personally enjoy the
yeah,
most. So that's something on my list is really get better at the LinkedIn strategy because that's where my listeners are hanging out.
you get more time on LinkedIn is what I've noticed. Basically, is that if they say like on Instagram, you have like 1 to maybe a second and a half to like hook people in to like look at you and like stay. On LinkedIn, you get more time from people because they're
Oh.
like it's again like the entertainment versus like the professional. I interpret it as like are they using like the back of their brain, meaning like the more instinct, brain, the prefrontal cortex is turned off? Like, are they
Hmm.
using their logic center or are they using their emotional center? And on LinkedIn, they're using like the logic center a lot more than on
This is
Instagram.
so interesting. I really never put this much thought into it, but this is so true. You probably are using different parts of your brain when you're on these.
Yeah. I mean, I talked to one guy a while ago who works for he used to work for like a very, I'm not going to mention names, but a lot of followers and has launched many books and has broken records for selling books. And and he said what I believe as a content creator and how I guide the talent, meaning like the people he works with, when you're on Instagram or Facebook or Meta in general, TikTok, like you gotta emotionally engage them long enough for them to turn the front of their brain on, like the prefrontal, like logic center
Mm,
on. But you're coming from the back of the brain to the front. His opinion is that LinkedIn is sort of the same in the sense that like you still need to hit both parts of the brain, but you like people are more coming at it from like the front to the back rather than the back to the front. And he basically
interesting.
said like, look, like on LinkedIn, like you can actually like generate like a logical argument and people will sit there and listen to you for like 3 4 seconds for you to make it.
This much time.
Yeah, it's like how fast does a person's thumb move? That's how
Nope,
long you have.
nope, nope. Yeah. Yeah, that's really interesting. And like I said, when I post on LinkedIn, it's a completely different result, even though it doesn't feel like my most natural, like organic place to post. It's kind of more has to be like more of a learned behavior because you are going to post different content on the different, platforms, obviously.
The other thing I've noticed on LinkedIn versus Meta is that content that may get you flamed on Meta actually works on LinkedIn.
Ooh, what do you mean by that?
So like, look, it's like I've posted on LinkedIn more times than I can count because my social media team like tracks all our hooks. It's like, it's like I've built up X number of businesses above, $10 million, right? As a hook. I use that hook on LinkedIn. It's like people are like, cool, because they can go to my LinkedIn, they can look at my like my profile page, they'll see that like I've bought companies, they see all of that, right?
The
Because there's
legitimacy is all
context,
there. Hmm.
right? So nobody's going to go on my post and be like, yeah, like you're a shill, whatever, whatever, because before they even think about making that kind of like claim on a post against me, they would go to my profile page and be like, actually, like this guy's done M&A and he owns this and but oh, okay, like these
Oh, he's
businesses
legit.
exist.
Yeah.
There's proof and people are going to go through that process before they make up their mind with me. On Meta, that ain't happening. Oh, they're like,
Oh,
oh yeah, like you don't know what you're talking about. You
my
only
God.
have like X
This
thousand followers. Get out of here. And because
this
like if
literally
you don't
just
have
happened to
millions of
me.
followers, you're nobody on that platform, right?
Totally. This literally just happened to me. I posted a video on Instagram this week, and my whole intention behind the video was to tie in my reality TV background and talk about my experience working on what was supposed to be the original Jersey Shore. We pitched it to MTV&E. My whole point of the video was saying, like, what are some of these business lessons we can learn from that story about the way we can approach things and opportunities? It took a crazy turn. It became Jersey Shore hardcore fans being like, show me the timeline, show me the receipts. Where's the video? She's lying.
Right.
I'm like, holy moly, what is happening
Yeah,
right now?
yeah,
It has
yeah.
like over, I mean, maybe 700,000 views. Not one of them is business related. And I'm
Yeah,
like, it missed the whole point of my post. Had I posted that similar type of structure or like done it a little bit different on
yeah.
LinkedIn, it could have turned into more of like a business conversation.
this is exactly the problem, right? I've literally had comments like on some of my posts being like, like what the hell do you know about this stuff? You like even calling out my follower account and whatever. And I'm like, but I don't take offense to it. I mean, like, I remember this happened a number of years ago. Like Ray Dalio, the guy that owns the biggest hedge fund in the world, was posting content. And they're like, there was one comment, I remember it because Gary Vee then called it out like a week or so later, and it was like, what the hell does this old man know about anything? Like broke ass, and it's like this guy owns the biggest hedge fund on the planet. He's dropping like absolute knowledge, and
Oh
like
my
people
God.
on Meta are basically calling him a clown, and you're just like, all right, like if this guy is gonna get flamed for giving like
Right.
knowledge, it's like no one's safe on this
No one is
planet,
safe in this
right?
game, right? He's got all the receipts he could possibly
Yeah, like
have.
it's a multi-billionaire, like blah blah blah. It's probably, made over $1 billion in a year more than once in his lifetime.
Oh my
Like
God.
it's
And
like
Joe Schmo from Timbuktu's like, idiot.
yeah, like clown, like fake, like whatever. And it's like that's the reality of Meta. So like what you have to understand with Meta is like you're dealing with the general public. Like whereas like LinkedIn, very different. It's like it's professional, people give you time, people will look into you. Right. And they'll be
hmm
like, what businesses are there? Like, does this person have receipts? And then they'll be like, oh, okay, like good stuff.
When
And
people
they'll
are
comment
probably
back.
less to like write hate comments or like mean comments
Well,
because
that
it's not what the
platform won't
platform's
even
for.
put up with it. Right. They'll just
Yeah.
ban you.
I love that. I need to dive way more into LinkedIn. It definitely seems like the place to be, especially for business owners, entrepreneurs. Even if
100%.
Instagram can be more shiny and fun sometimes,
I think you
LinkedIn can
need
definitely
both.
be more opportunity.
I do think you need both. Like, I think you need like more than one platform. You can't be beholden to one platform. I also think that like the future, especially like if you're in business and you want to really build a personal brand, like YouTube, which is, I mean, I'm saying this like I should do way more on YouTube than I currently do. But like
Easier
YouTube,
said
I
than
think,
done, right?
yeah, I mean, time on content, the whole like time on content metric is pretty real in my opinion.
hmm I love that. Okay, we're running out of time. You're like a whole source of knowledge. I feel like we can go so many different directions with our conversation. But the one thing that I love to leave our listeners with is if you were to give advice on like what is the one thing that they should implement into their life that could improve their life or their business, what would you recommend that be?
First of all, if you run a business and you are making over, say, like $10,000 a month, you should not be cooking. You should probably not be cleaning. Go find a service immediately. Go find a laundry service as well. Like first of all, it'll change your life, and then go find all the things that you don't like doing. Literally make a list and figure out how to outsource all of that. That would be like definitely number one. Number two, you need that energy to do the boring things. Because remember, like the boring things, you need to know how to do them. You need to know how they work. You don't need to do them forever. Just remember that. You don't need to do them forever. You just need to know how they are done and what good looks like before you delegate them. And delegate, do not abdicate.
Awesome. All right. Well, if people want to go find out more about you or follow you along on LinkedIn or Instagram or anywhere else, where should they find you?
Yep. So you can find me at Nick Avaria, so NickAvaria, and on my website, you can find me there as well, agencyacquisitions.io.
Perfect. I'll put all this in the show notes as well so people can easily click and find you. But thank you. I really appreciate you taking the time to come on the show. There are so many good nuggets in here. I think people are really going to enjoy this episode.
Thanks so much for having me.
Thanks for listening to Nothing Small About Business. Make sure you follow this show so you don't miss the value in upcoming episodes. Share this with someone who's growing and connect on socials for more.